Heath Ledger's turn as the Joker in 2008's The Dark Knight is one of Hollywood's most infamous examples of method acting gone too far. In preparation for the role and throughout the job, Ledger locked himself in his London hotel room for weeks.
I only have one question. Where is Harvey Dent?
Cutting off contact from the outside world and diving deep into the Joker's dark psyche. He kept a private diary full of unsettling sketches and disturbing lines the character might say.
Horse meets an immovable object.
Ledger himself admitted in interviews that he only slept 2 hours a night as the Joker's manic energy kept pushing his mind to the edge of insanity. In attempts to cure the unforgiving insomnia, prescription drugs followed just to rest.
Why so serious?
After experiencing Ledger's terrifying performances on set, Michael Caine recalled that he forgot his lines in one scene. Ledger's friends and colleagues noticed the toll, as they described him as pale, exhausted, and unable to depart from the Joker.
It's a bad joke. Dropped at the first sign of trouble.
A few months after filming Wrapped, an accidental overdose of painkillers, anti-anxiety medication, and sleeping pills took Ledger's life. The Joker's intensity pushed him into unrecoverable territory. Daniel Day-Lewis is one of the best method actors in history to grace the screen, but his immersion often pushed him to dangerous extremes.
Raise it high up so all in the streets can see.
On 2002's Gangs of New York, he insisted on wearing only thin 19th century coats during a winter shoot in Italy. Crew members recalled him refusing modern jackets as he contracted pneumonia. Throughout shooting, he stayed in character as Bill the Butcher, speaking in the thick Brooklyn accent while carrying weapons off camera.
Blood's been spilled to afford us this moment now!
Day-Lewis later admitted he drove himself insane while embodying Bill the Butcher's violent persona. Years later, in 2012's Lincoln, he followed the same extremely determined approach to bring Abraham Lincoln back to life.
Shall we stop this bleeding?
Day-Lewis lived as Lincoln for months, writing letters in the president's voice and demanding crew members address him formally as Mr. President. Co-star Sally Field had to stay in character as Mary Todd Lincoln just to keep up with him.
Sadness and loss that time allowed me was now over.
Day-Lewis himself admitted in interviews that his obsession with his roles left him drained, and he struggled to shed the skin of his roles. Jack Nicholson's plunge into 1980's The Shining's insanity as the deranged Jack Torrance was deliberate self-torture. To stay true to the irritable Torrance, Nicholas isolated himself from the cast and ate nothing but cheese sandwiches for weeks, which he despised.
Ever occurred to you what would happen to my future if I were to fail to live up to my responsibility?
Director Stanley Kubrick's obsessive shooting style only added insult to injury. The famous "Here's Johnny" take was filmed over 60 times, making Nicholson repeatedly smash through doors until he was drenched in sweat and visibly shaken.
Pigs, little pigs, let me come in.
Nicholson's co-star Shelley Duvall also struggled with Kubrick's relentless demand for perfection, as she showed him her clunks of hair that had fallen out from stress. Nicholson later admitted that playing Torrance was one of the hardest and most exhausting roles of his career, both mentally and physically.
Here's Johnny.
The draining combination of forced isolation, deliberate discomfort, and a grueling shoot left Nicholson psychologically wounded. The on-screen product of this madness was a performance so volatile and terrifying that, as many believe, Nicholas himself blurred the line between control and genuine madness. Leonardo Dicaprio's portrayal of frontiersman Hugh Glass in 2015's The Revenant saw him endure one of the most grueling shoots in modern film history.
I knew that Alejandro wanted to do something very poetic with that journey, and he accomplished it.
Upon director Alejandro Iñárritu's insistence on shooting in natural light in the remote Canadian wilderness, the cast and crew had to work in sub-zero conditions. DiCaprio plodded through freezing rivers, frozen ground, and icy winds for hours at a time. He described his experience in interviews by saying, "I can name 30 or 40 sequences that were some of the most difficult things I've ever had to do." In one of the film's most glaring moments, he ate actual raw bison liver on camera, even though he's a vegetarian. DiCaprio later admitted he gagged endlessly and almost vomited.
Only safe thing to do is track a new course back up online.
He told reporters it was the hardest film I've ever done when describing his days in the wilderness, where he felt his body shutting down from the cold and exhaustion. However, the punishing method acting paid off. DiCaprio finally won his belated Oscar for the role after decades of nominations. Christian Bale pushed his body's physical limits in 2004's The Machinist, taking method acting to another dimension.
Man was nearly killed thanks to me.
In playing an insomniac factory worker who's deteriorating mentally, Bale dropped over 60 pounds in just a few months, becoming unrecognizable by weighing a skeletal 110 pounds. It was reported that his negligible diet consisted of one apple, a can of tuna, and several cups of black coffee each day.
Just watching me run is a joke because I just have no leg muscles or anything.
Crew members recall him struggling to walk upstairs, and his co-stars said his presence was haunting on set. Bale admitted to feeling emotionally flat and detached, describing his frail image as a shadow of a person. Doctors warned of the risks of Bale's rapid body weight loss, which included heart palpitations, organ strain, and long-term metabolic issues.
Taylor, they're gonna stop!
Astonishingly, Bale was so taken by the role that he wanted to go even further into the abyss. Thankfully, the producers intervened out of fear for his life. The scene when he's playing in the mirror with the shriveled appearance still perplexes audiences.
I just didn't think it was possible.
I didn't eat.
Albeit Bale's resolve paid off with the film's success. Joaquin Phoenix was another victim of the Joker's 2024 dark rendition. Phoenix signed up for a brutal physical and psychological transformation, losing more than 50 pounds in just a few months by sticking to an extreme diet that left him frail.
What's so funny? Freak!
Phoenix described the unhealthy process by saying it develops like a disorder. You obsess over food, you weigh yourself every day. While the weight loss left Phoenix weak, it enhanced the Joker's unsettling movements and bony frame.
Things at our best are so inventive and creative and ingenious.
Phoenix confessed that Arthur-Fleck's darkness seeped into his subconscious, haunting his dreams and leaving him anxious off-set. Director Todd Phillips and Phoenix's behavior on set was mercurial as he would walk away mid-scene, trapped in the character's instability.
It's awful these days. It's enough to make anyone crazy.
Okay.
Phoenix called the experience a toxic relationship with his character that he had to escape no matter what once filming Wrapped.
It's a comedy.
Similar to the staircase dancing scene in the film, Phoenix was constantly dancing with insanity in his mind, testing his mental and physical limits. In the end, the toll was worth it. Phoenix won the Oscar for Best Actor. Jim Carrey vanished into the role of Andy Kaufman in 1999's Man on the Moon and never fully came back.
I would like to do for you some imitations.
For 4 months, Carrey refused to be himself, choosing to live as Kaufman and Kaufman's abrasive alter ego, Tony Clifton. Even off-set, cast and crew had to deal with either Andy or Tony, but never Jim.
I was looking at the ocean, and that's the moment when Andy came back to make his movie.
He used to crash studio meetings in character and told everyone to treat the act as real. Director Milos Forman later claimed the experience to be terrifying due to Carrey being unreachable. In an interview years later, Carrey admitted, "I was never the same again after filming Wrapped."
Do you like my orchestra? They're made out of wood, but I think they're just as real as you or me.
Carrey lost all sense of purpose and self by spiraling into depression and relying on Prozac. In the 2017 documentary, Jim and Andy, The Great Beyond, he said he was unsure where Kaufman ended and he began.
Is that how you talk to him? Mr. Waller?
Carrey's choice to tackle the daring performance resulted in a psychological breakdown as he was permanently changed by the months he spent trapped in Kaufman's skin. Adrien Brody, going to extreme lengths in 2002's The Pianist to inhabit Holocaust survivor Vladislav Shvilman, is putting it mildly. For his demanding role in The Pianist, Brody dropped over 30 pounds to bring him down to 130 pounds for a true reflection of Spielman's starvation. He didn't stop there. Brody sold his apartment, gave up his car, and even ended his relationship with Monet Monsieur to cut off from comfort and companionship to channel the destitute pianist's isolation.
I had a great responsibility on my shoulders as a young man to portray Spielman.
The challenging role left a permanent scar on him, as he spoke about his experience in an interview by saying, "There were times when I was lost, I was depressed for a year after embodying such deprivation and loneliness."
A lot about himself and about his own apathy towards things.
The role's trauma lingered in the form of panic attacks and insomnia later in his normal life. His conviction to the role earned him an Oscar for Best Actor, making him the youngest actor to receive Hollywood's crown jewel. Yet,
Don't let them get you alive.
even in his triumph, Brody confessed to battling the emotional and physical toll of Spielman's harrowing reality. Time's up. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video from my fun, lighthearted channel, Hollywood Body Count, I'd love a cheeky like, subscribe, and comment. No pressure, no sweat, your call.